Grief is a very strange monster. Very strange monster. And I know some of you can relate to that. Some of you understand what that is. And, you know, you might think that you'll respond one way when something happens, and then you don't. You respond a different way. It's lesser or it's greater. It's extremely strange. And yeah, like Mia says, it hits you at the strangest times too. Sometimes, you know, you could go 5 years and you get a little sad, and then all of a sudden on year 6, you just lose your shit. And it doesn't make any sense. You know? So the whole thing sparked this conversation with this person, and we kind of went back and forth, and I don't know if it was the right thing to do or not, but I felt like it was important for me, having gone through the different levels of grief that I have gone through, not only losing a parent, but losing close friends. And, you know, I've had close friends that have taken their own life and all kinds of stuff. I felt like it was the best thing I could do after listening to them express everything and try to process through everything that they were currently going through in that moment, was to offer at least some level of relation, that things that I have gone through, so that they understood that it's not a linear model. It's not a path that you follow and say, oh, well, grief should look like this. I'm supposed to do this, and then I do this, and then I will feel like this. It just doesn't work that way at all. And I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, I think knowing that the unknown is kind of the way that it works is at least some level of peace, because then you're not completely sideswiped when it seems chaotic. It seems strange. I don't know if that makes sense. Yeah, it's not 12 steps for sure. Yep. And Stormy, I'll agree with you. The conversation is hard to hear. It's a hard conversation to have. But I think, me personally, my opinion is having the conversation is just one step closer to accepting and embracing and managing. And I think that's kind of what a lot of us learn through going through these kinds of things, is that you're really just managing the whole thing as best you can. You have good days, you have bad days, you have terrible days. But you're just managing, you know, you're just balancing the plates as best you can. Yeah. Yeah, we're all just winging it. Absolutely. Yep. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Andrew Garfield quote, "Grief is all the unexpressed love that I didn't get to tell them." That's really good. Yep. Yeah, it's okay to not be okay. Absolutely. I think trying to pretend that it's sunshine and rainbows can be a double-edged sword. Vasha says, "I'm still wandering around on my grief path." Yeah, I think we all will be at some point, because some of us might not be yet, but it happens. And that's the unfortunate inevitability, is that it doesn't really matter who you are. It's going to affect you at some point. And that's scary. See, to me, a conversation like losing somebody that you loved is, and depending on who that person is and all the variables around that stuff, is, yeah, it's a very difficult conversation to have, but it's also very different from a conversation where you're still pending other people that you love and that you worry about, you know? Yeah. That's tough. Christine says, "I'm so scared of when I lose my grandma, because her health has been declining and will be the closest person to me that I lose. And I have no idea what I'm going to do with my life when it happens." Christina, I can absolutely understand that. And not just from a grandma perspective, but from the general idea that you have somebody that is, in one way or another, they're your everything. They're your whole life. You can't imagine your life not including them. It's difficult. And I think that there are people in the chat, and I won't name them, but I know them. There are people in the chat that will tell you, yeah, I have been where you are, and I have also seen the other side. I've walked through that tunnel. I came out the other side, and I'll tell you, you will get through it. Yep. You will just get through it. Yep. Pre-grieving sucks. I'll tell you, one of the greatest lessons that I ever learned, and I did not ever see this coming. And Kimmy kind of hit the nail on the head right there with the pre-grieving. When my anxiety was at its peak, and I mean like I was on the verge of dysfunctional anxiety, the whole thing was stemmed from the years ago that I lost my dad and the hospice and all that stuff. Yes, that's what started it. But then that created this domino in my brain that was essentially putting me into this mode of what the therapist called anticipatory grief. Because I was worried of what my life is going to be like when my mom goes. My dad was difficult. My mom will destroy me. And I know that. So I ended up unknowingly grieving ahead of time because I thought, well, if I start to grieve now, and it's not a conscious thing, if I start to grieve now, it'll be easier when it happens. It's quite literally the opposite. The therapist made some good points, and I'll just give you a real quick recap of what she said that made me go, okay, that makes sense. When you lose the person that you're afraid of losing, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be difficult. And you'll have that window of time where you grieve, and life just seems empty. That is absolutely, in some way, shape, or form, you'll probably go through something like that for the amount of time that you need to go through when it happens. But then time will heal. You will learn to manage, and you will come out the other side. Nothing you can do is going to change that moment. It's going to exist. But what you're doing by having this anticipatory grief is taking that moment, however long away it is, and you're pulling it back to where you are now. And you're just dragging it out longer and longer and longer. And it affects you in a worse way, in a more difficult way, when you should be using that time to appreciate and be grateful for what you do have, because you're not there yet. Therapist told me that, it kind of made sense. And I had to go have a talk with my mom and say, look, I need you to understand something. I'm kind of struggling with this. And we had a conversation, and she understood, and it helped greatly. And my anxiety went from down to a very manageable little diarrhea. You know, I can deal with a little diarrhea. That's fine.